Greetings and welcome to today's Weekend Edition. My name is Nora Sene to host this show. Well, as the world continues to grapple with the impacts of climate change, there is vital that nations develop resilient and sustainable practices. Well, today we look at the critical role that's of climate-smart development in shaping Uganda's environmental future. We are joined by an esteemed panel of experts. Now, these experts are directly involved in the heart of Uganda's climate adaptation strategies. I'm going to start with my immediate right. We have Juliet Mobi, who is a public relations officer, the National Forestry Authority. Juliet, you're welcome.
Thank you, and greetings to our viewers. I'm happy to be here to discuss conservation.
Nice to have you too. And the only gentleman on the panel, Mr. Bob Kazungu. Mr. Kazungu is Assistant Commissioner for Forestry at the Ministry of Water and Environment. Mr. Kazungu, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nora, and good evening, viewers. I'm glad to be part of this conversation where we see government try to confront the challenge of environmental management head on. Thank you for inviting me.
Nice to have you. Well, Vanis Mirembe, the only lady in uniform. So good to have you. Vanis Mirembe is Manager Conservation Education and Awareness at the Uganda Wildlife Authority. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers. My name is Vanis, and I'm happy to be part of this conversation, especially on climate smart development through implementing conservation activities to make the world better.
Very nice. Indeed, this is to make the world better, and we are all out there trying to make the world better, one way or the other. Now, this conversation is very interesting because we want to see how there is an intersection between wildlife conservation, forestry, and basically community resilience and involvement, which is quite mind-boggling, but I trust the panelists, the experts that are here this evening that are going to be discussing this with us. I just want to start with the only gentleman in the house today, Mr. Bob Kazungu from the Ministry of Water and Environment. Can you briefly just explain to us investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development project? That's a project held that is manned actually by the Ministry of Water and Environment. And how does this project exactly contribute to promoting climate smart development here in Uganda?
Thank you very much, Nora. Indeed, just like government, obligation is to mobilize resources and provide services to the communities in the manner that it can best deliver. And for the Ministry of Water and Environment, we were able to work with the World Bank, with financing from the World Bank. And in 2021, the 19th of August, we were able to become effective for the implementation of this project. The Investing in Forests and Protected Areas for Climate Smart Development project is coined out of the need to improve the management of our forests and protected areas. And we talk about protected areas, we're talking about national parks and game reserves, as well as central forest reserves in the Albertine region. But also we connected the protection of these forests with the enhancement of the ecosystem and the landscapes in the areas where we have refugees being hosted, what we call the refugee host districts, in 18 districts cutting across mid-central Uganda and most of West Nile or northwestern part of the country. So this project has a development objective of improving the management of forest protected areas, as well as enhancing the resilience and the management of landscapes in those targeted areas that I've just talked about. And it's World Bank funded mainly. It is worth $178.2 million. That's quite a significant amount of money. It tackles aspects of tourism development and improving of revenues and jobs, occurring from tourism investments and forestry investments. It tackles specific restoration interventions and management of forests, including both those on private land, but also on what we call permanent forest estates of Uganda, the national parks and the Central Forest Reserves. It also tackles the restoration of degraded landscapes through agroforestry interventions, specifically for the refugee host districts that I just mentioned about in the beginning. So generally, that is what this project is all about. Thank you. And in terms of climate smart development, those investments are climate smart. Tourism and ecotourism investments are climate smart in the sense that they lead to the enhancement of what we call mitigation and adaptation aspects of management of our ecosystems, because we know very well that Uganda is a country that is central and with an advantage of having all these biodiversity that is very unique within Africa. I think we are the second in terms of very unique biome in this continent, and communities have gone through a lot of, they are vulnerable to climate change shocks. And some of the investments which you have for livelihoods enhancement, for example, geared to ensure that these communities are more resilient to the shocks of climate change. And we're seeing investments like involvement in apiary activities, engagement as beekeeping activities, for example. We have what we call ecotourism based enterprises, where the communities involved in managing trails, for example, in our national parks. There are communities involved in making arts and crafts as a way of enhancing their livelihoods alongside the tourism investments. And all these are climate smart in all aspects of them. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kazungu. When you were explaining about the project investing in forests and protected areas, you could clearly see there's so many layers to it and so many components. It is a clear cut. There's an intersection with wildlife and conservation and involvement of communities, which is a very, very rich project in its aspect, in that aspect. And that just takes me to Venice, who is from UA. Now, the project also helps in ensuring the protection of wildlife and in these protected areas. Just kind of tell us the impact this has on climate resilience.
The project has enhanced climate development by implementing conservation activities such as afforestation, restoring habitats for wildlife, strengthening and poaching efforts, protecting wildlife ecosystems. And the project has contributed to, like Bob mentioned, to climate resilience by maintaining carbon sinks, reducing deforestation, and enhancing biodiversity that improves the ability of ecosystems to adapt to climate change.
Okay. Very nice. I just want to come to Julie, who is right immediately. And when I come to National Forest Authority, I'm going to talk about forests, basically, in regards to investing in forests and protected areas. Could you please just tell us, in terms of restoring of degraded forests and promoting climate smart development, how do you hope to manage these practices in Uganda?
Thank you so much, Nora. The project, I think, came in a good time in 2021, like Bob said, immediately after the country and the whole world had been hit by COVID-19. And at that time, there was a lot of dependency on forests, especially with the communities that are adjacent to the forest reserves. So the project has helped us do restoration in a number of central forest reserves in the Albertine region through planting of trees because they had been the forest had been affected so much by the impacts of the human beings adjacent to the forest. So we've been able to do restoration through restoration planting, but the project has also supported our forest adjacent communities with livelihood programs. People are doing beekeeping in the forest reserve and outside the forest reserve so that they are able to earn incomes and not depend on the forest for their livelihood on a daily basis. The project has also trained our forest adjacent communities that who are very key partners in whatever we do, but also improve on forest management practices. We've been able to open boundaries, and when we open boundaries, we reduce on the conflicts with the communities that are adjacent and also be able to secure the integrity of these forest reserves so that everybody who approaches the forest, they are able to know that this is where the forest starts and it should be kept as it is. With this project, we've also been able to improve on ecotourism sites. We are currently promoting ecotourism development in different forest reserves across the country. So we've been able to create, to develop ecotourism sites that will not only benefit the country as a source of revenue, but also benefit the community members to have jobs and also have market for their own locally produced goods and products.
I see there are multiple benefits that comes with this project, really, and I see the communities actually benefiting from all the information that you've given us. I just want to understand from Mr. Bob Kazungu, if per CD project, does it really align with the long-term environmental conservation and climate adaptation strategies? Just explain to us if it does.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you look at the Vision 2040, we're looking at a population that is has enhanced wealth over the years. And when you look at our program planning approach that we're using as government, where we're looking so much into the future with ensuring that the communities communities' livelihoods are enhanced through income generation and wealth creation. When you look at the green growth strategy that we have as a country, when you look at the National Red Plus Strategy and Action Plan, you will clearly see that this project makes a great contribution to those strategic obligations of the country, because an investment of this nature, cutting across about many sectors, maybe 3 or 4 sectors, the wildlife and the tourism, indeed has a significant contribution to the GDP. And according to the design of this project, we anticipate that we shall have a contribution to GDP of about 1.29%. And when you talk about the gross domestic product, then you're talking about our national aspirations within the Vision 2040, within the National Development Plan 3, and of course the ongoing plan to have a National Development Plan 4, which this project has significant contribution to in terms of meeting the objective number 2 on natural resources management and the conservation enhancement for our forests and other ecosystems. So this project makes a direct contribution to many of our national development plans of the country, and specific, of course, to forestry, where we have our national forestry policy and the statements that we have within the policy that run across commercial plantation development. We have a component, subcomponent 2.2 within this project that is going to support plantation forest establishment through an incentive and a mechanism to tree growers in this country. That makes a great contribution to that end of our aspirations to restore, for example, our forests back to the 1990 levels of 24%. Currently, we are at 12.4%. And when you look at the aspirations of this project, it will make almost half of the contribution of our estate to that aspiration of getting to 24% percent as it was in 1990. So this project is designed in a manner, and if we implement it the way we plan to implement it, we're very sure that we shall make we shall make a significant contribution to our national aspirations on all the strategic documents that I've just talked about. The National Development Plan 4, the Vision 2040, National Development Plan 3 and 4. 3 is ending this year in June, then 4 is starting in July. Forestry strategy for both RED Plus and forestry development, our green growth strategy under the climate change policy, aspirations. So all those are contributed to by this project in all the different aspects that we've been talking about since we started this conversation.
Okay. Let me hand it over to Venice. What are some of the activities that UA is doing under this very project to promote climate smart development?
Yeah, thank you. UA has undertaken several conservation activities under this project, such as wildlife protection. The project has provided logistical capacity such as vehicles, motorcycles, radio communication, equipment, drones, supporting the ranger accommodation, to be able to have the morale to protect wildlife and also to facilitate them in that. It has also gone ahead to provide mitigation measures for human-wildlife conflict. We have established electric fences, trenches, the stone wall in Gahinga, all to protect potential human-wildlife conflict in the landscape. The project has also helped in restoration of habitats or areas where wildlife live or stay or breed, and it has helped in removing invasive species. These are plants that grow and displace wildlife from their habitats. So the project has helped in picking out those that are unwanted, that are invasive, that are eating other wildlife. It has also helped in strengthening law enforcement, because we have poachers in our protected areas. So the project has equipped rangers with better tools to combat poaching and fight illegal logging in protected areas, and also protection of critical areas to ensure that the migratory species are well protected in their corridors. And also it has gone outside protected areas to improve or enhance livelihood for community members that are neighboring community areas. Because once the livelihood is improved, you reduce pressure from the protected areas.
Right.
So it has enhanced better livelihood to the communities, and now the eyes are off the protected areas for resources.
Yeah, okay.
So the project came in handy.
It has, I can say,
Yes,
really.
yes.
Talking about preservation of wildlife corridors and the habitats, how do this contribute to the overall climate adaptation and resilience efforts? Let's just stay with you.
Yeah, as you mentioned, UA is preserving the wildlife corridors through land use planning, community sensitization, and law enforcement against encroachment. So the project has supported ecosystems connectivity by rehabilitating forested areas and working with local communities to reduce human encroachment. And wildlife corridors, as you know, are very crucial for species migration, and which is essential to climate change. So they are now safer, they are protected and free from human encroachment.
I want to go to Mr. Kazungu. Mr. Kazungu, could you kindly just highlight some of the mechanisms in place that are helping to fast track the progress of the project and ensure that there is accountability?
Thank you very much indeed, Nora. When you look at a project of this magnitude, it's quite expensive to monitor and track progress. So over the years, we've been doing our traditional monitoring and evaluation using approaches, including having periodic reporting from the field staff to the ministry headquarters as a way of preparing a report and sending it over to us in the formats that we agreed with the funder, in this case the World Bank. But over the years, we realized this approach is not giving us the best shot in terms of timely reporting. So we've recently joined, the World Bank projects across the world to use what we call the GEMS tool through the Kobo Toolbox, which is a web-based georeferenced tool for capturing information spot on as by the activity. So if you're having an engagement of community conservation, community engagement or stakeholder consultation, for example, or restoration intervention in the field, you can pick the spatial or GPS points of that location, take a photograph of the event that is taking place, input within the Kobo Toolbox, which is a data collection tool that we have developed together with the implementing partners, the Uganda Wildlife Authority and the National Forest Authority, a tool that people can now fill in and report about an event to which we are able to receive real-time information at the Ministry of Water and Environment and report immediately. So that GEMS tool has been now launched recently. We have rolled it over to the field staff, and we're now utilizing it for reporting. It's the key tool that we use for reporting. But I also want to mention that we have obligations as a project. We have an obligation to report to the Office of the Prime Minister as government. We have an obligation to report to the World Bank. So this tool that we're using is really helping us to make sure that we have these reports as quickly as we require them. And to me, it was a great innovation from the World Bank, and we've been able to take it on as a project. And we are making use of the Kobo Toolbox to even report beyond what we actually need to report, because it captures more information than what we even need as far as the results framework and the monitoring evaluation plan is for the project. So it's a wonderful tool in my view, and we hope that it can be used even by other projects and programs in the country, because I think it's quite a useful tool for tracking progress.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the way you've explained it, it could actually be a tool that can be used in other projects, like you said, because you said it's comprehensive and it kind of digs into, you kind of have so many channels to which you're reporting to, which is very impressive. Juliet next to me here has been a bit quiet, and I just want to understand. The National Forest Authority is no stranger to different challenges, just like any other entity. You would kindly point out some of the challenges that you face as you're implementing the Investing in Forests and Protected Areas for Climate Smart Development Project as NFA.
Thank you, Nora. While implementing the Investing in Forests and Protected Areas for Climate Smart Development project in the selected Central Forest reserves, we encounter some challenges, which include encroachment. And encroachment is in many ways. There are those that encroach for settlement. There are those that encroach for just cutting timber illegally. There are those that encroach for cultivation, and the many others encroachment types. It's one of those very key challenges that we are finding. But also there are also politics in the field where we are implementing the project. people that are people that are against the conservation, that are encouraging some of the communities to continue encroaching on the forest reserves, yet these forest reserves are conserved for all of us as Ugandans. But as an authority and our partners in the project, we have enhanced sensitization and awareness programs. We are telling people that, look, I think about 24% of the national GDP is gotten from agricultural activities. And we all know that there are very few people that do irrigation in this country, so we are a country that depends largely on the rains. And if we are to continue getting the sufficient rains for us to be able to practice our agriculture, we need to conserve the forests and other natural resources. So encroachment is one of those challenges, but there is also creation of illegal land titles in forest reserves that we've of late found it a very big issue that we end up in court. It takes a very long time to be resolved. As the court process is ongoing, the destruction in the forest is also happening, and this one is affecting some of our activities in Central Forest Reserves.
I would like to know from Vanice if your challenges are kind of similar or they're different while you're implementing.
They are definitely related because forests and protected areas are sister and brother. Mm-hmm. And encroachment, like Juliet mentioned, is one of the challenges that we are facing in protected areas. People want to get in there and claim land. You know, population is increasing in Uganda, and the protected areas are not, unfortunately, increasing. But every day we see numbers going up, and of course they are looking for space, they are looking for where to live, they are looking for where to cultivate. And who is suffering? It is the protected areas. We see people getting in there illegally, or even cultivating up to the edge. There's what we call hard edge areas. Someone cultivates up to the very edge of the boundary, that a chimpanzee can sit in the park and push its arm and get a cob of maize and eat it. And that, of course, results into human-wildlife conflict, because as we continue to see encroachment and pressure from humans, the wildlife also respond by getting into the communities, and we see a lot of human-wildlife conflict as another challenge. And of course, humans respond, they retaliate by killing the wildlife. So we see this clash. The needs of wildlife are there, the needs of humans are there, and they are overlapping. And what happens? There's a lot of killings from each side. The other challenge we have is, of course, community resistance to conservation efforts due to economic pressures or hardships. People are looking for what to eat. They are looking for how to survive. And they are remaining with no options, but rather to get into protected areas. So the pressures, they wipe out all the protected areas. They want to get into the forests. They want to, you know, like Juliet mentioned, they want to get whatever is there of protected areas. And definitely climate change efforts due to prolonged droughts affecting the water sources in areas, let's say some lake areas. We see people crying every day due to climate change. They are looking for water, and where can they find water? They have to come to the protected areas. There are many challenges that we face in protecting these areas.
Oh, yeah. I want to come back to Juliet a bit, because some of the challenges that we are actually discussing in its collaboration between the implementing entities and the communities. I'm just wondering, how is the National Forestry Authority collaborating with local communities to promote sustainable forest management practices?
The law that manages forests in Uganda is the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act. In that law, there is a section where there's the authority is supposed to create or establish collaborative forestry management groups. These are groups of people that come together and form a group, and they are registered with their local communities so that they are known at their district level as an organized group that can enter into a relationship with the National Forestry Authority to manage or to collaborate in the management of a specific central forest reserve in that area. So with the investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development project, we've been able to establish a number of collaborative forestry management groups adjacent to different central forest reserves, not only establish but be able to support them in livelihood programs, as they also support the National Forestry Authority in sustainable management of those forest reserves. We've gone further to even be able to create jobs. All the restoration activities that we do in these forest reserves, the contractors are members of those communities so that they are able to earn and feel or get feel of this project and be able to improve their livelihood so that in the long run, they are able to create sources of income that are not dependent to the forests. And through this arrangement of the CFM, we bind into an agreement where whatever we do is agreed upon. For example, the communities are allowed on a specific day every week to enter the forest, pick firewood, regulated. So this one also reduces on the conflicts that we are likely to have with those communities. But in turn, these communities also support us by sharing information with us in case the forest is under attack, fire, maybe there are people who have come from far, they want to enter the forest and do illegalities, so they give us information. And in some instances, we've been able to establish forestry committees. These sit with us, with our staff in the ground, and also plan and monitor all activities in these forest reserves. So it has also helped us to strengthen our relationship with these adjacent, forest adjacent communities.
Yeah, okay. And I'm also wondering if OWA has the same kind of collaboration with communities in this regard.
Yes, we have a collaboration. We have always had community groups accessing park resources like firewood, like G had mentioned, like firewood, herbal medicines, of course, sustainable resource access. We don't allow them to come in and harvest animals and eat meat, and of course they always have demands. They always look forward to asking for such things. Like, we want to come in, can't you give us one buffalo? Can't we get two cobs? But we tell them this is wildlife. We cannot just give you that, but you can access other resources that are sustainable. So we have collaborations with these communities. They come in, they take firewood, of course, regulated access. They take grass, medicinal plants. We have indigenous communities that once lived in these protected areas. They ask to come and appease the spirits, They want to come and pay allegiance to their ancestors. Mm-hmm. So through a regulation, we escort them to these places, and they appease their spirits and come out safely. So we have maintained a cordial relationship with the communities and ensure that conservation is about sustainable use of resources. It is not don't touch, don't look, don't do this. It's not don't. But it is through sustainable use. And also they have to own the park. They have to own these resources. For us, we're just managing on behalf of the community. But we do conserve with the neighboring communities, and through such organized groups. They do fishing, livelihood projects that we encourage them to do through our support. So we have a great collaboration with the communities around protected areas. Of course, on top of the 20% share that we have always shared with them. But this project has emphasized on collaboration, on livelihood support, on resource access through a regulated manner.
it's a regulated manner.
Yes.
I like the fact that you said it's not all about don't, but it is all regulated. I want to go back to Mr. Bob Kazungu. The project, Investing in Forests and Protected Areas for Climate Smart Development, fits within the forestry long-term aspirations of Uganda. Just explain to us, how does that fit in?
Thank you very much, Nora. Our aspirations include the fact that we've made commitments, for example, both internationally, regionally, and nationally. To start with the national commitments, we've committed that we ought to, by 2040, we ought to have reverted back to forest estate of 24% as of the land area for the country. And we used to be at 24% in 1990. We've lost over half of that. We are now at 12.4%. And this project, with the huge investment that we have that cuts across plantation forestry development, restoration through enrichment planting of protected areas, woodlot establishments on private land in the refugee host communities, and agroforestry interventions in the refugee host communities. All that make a contribution to our aspirations for forestry in the long term. And when we put all that together in terms of acreage of what has been restored or planted, we will be making a contribution to that national aspiration. But I also want to relate with the national determined contribution, which is connected directly with forestry management in the way of long term. Our updated national determined contribution, which is a framework that informs the world of how Uganda is contributing to reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Forestry makes a contribution to it through the reducing of emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. And we anticipate to contribute up to 21% by 2030 of our forestry contribution, as stated in the updated national determined contribution by 2030. So that is quite important to note, because forestry and climate change are very difficult to separate. Because as I earlier mentioned, forestry makes a contribution to mitigation aspirations within the national determined contribution. It makes a contribution to the adaptation aspirations within the national determined contributions, as well as the broader greenhouse gas emissions reduction that the country has presented to the world that we ought to reduce up to an ambitious 24.7%. So that is one way. But you also know very well that we have made commitments to contributing to the job creation as a forestry sector in this country. And we have an aspiration to do up to about 1 million jobs, 1 million good green jobs contribution by forestry to the country by 2030. And because of that, we have a lot of opportunity through the Investing in Forest Areas for Climate Smart Development project for us to contribute to the green jobs that we have aspired to have to contribute through forestry. And you've been hearing about the jobs within the tourism, and the tourism and forestry very difficult to separate because the fauna, the animals are found in the forest. We have the investors for plantation establishment. They need workers to work there, and that's an example of a green job. So when we do that investment, we're contributing to job creation. We have these restoration efforts by our contractors within our Central Forest Reserves, the restoration efforts through the agroforestry and woodlot establishment. All those are opportunities for job creation. And we've made some computations of to what extent This will contribute to the jobs, and that is very powerful because job creation is related strongly to our NDP4 and NDP3 aspirations, to our Vision 2040 aspirations of wealth creation. And forestry is very strong. It's very strong in those national planning frameworks that we have in the country. And we have, of course, the famous Red Plus Strategy and Action Plan, which was one of the key documents that we used to prepare the investing in forests, particular areas for climate smart development project. And in the Red Plus strategy, we have all these options that we want to contribute to, 7 technical options and 1 governance option, option number 8. So these 7 options have aspects with climate smart agriculture, aspects to do with the plantation establishment, wood fuel establishment, livestock rearing, and how forestry contributes to livestock rearing through provision of fodder. All these contribute again directly and indirectly to our forestry aspirations for the country. And we in this project have not left out any of those aspects in our implementation. We are able to pick at least 5 out of the 7 technical options to enrich our design of this investing in forest areas for climate smart development projects. So in brief, that is what I can say about our contribution to our forestry aspirations, directly or indirectly through the NDCs and the Red Plus strategy and the other framework planning documents of Vision 2040 and the NDP3 and the NDP4.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kazunga. That has been a very elaborate explanation, really in-depth. In your explanation, I was also picking in glimpses of the key benefits that this project really has. And in your explanation, really, you put it all out there very well. I just want to know if Vanessa has highlights that you could just pick on and just drop us on what the benefits will be like at the close of this, or if this project is really being implemented in a good way. Just tell us at the end of it all, what would you want to see?
Yeah, so far we have registered a lot of benefits. We see a lot of enhanced biodiversity, and of course that translates into a balanced ecosystem. We see reduced statistics of human-wildlife conflict, especially where mitigation has been put, like electric fence. We see cordial relationship, people are happier, they are economically thriving because they are able now to cultivate and sleep. We see families becoming happy because men were sleeping outside, watching over elephants. But there's some now relationship, only that I fear that this is going to increase more population. But we see people happier, the relationship with the parks improving, and a lot of, livelihood enhancement is registered in the areas that are neighboring protected areas. So we think the project we have benefited a lot from the project as a nation, because once the communities are happier and there's less pressure on the protected areas, then you register it and stamp your foot and know that you have registered a lot of benefit. And of course, the communities that are neighboring protected areas have been supported with livelihood projects, and this reduces pressure from resources from the protected areas, and that contributes to climate smart development.
Right. So the communities are happier.
They're happier.
We'll need to go down there and interview some of the communities.
Interview some of the women and see what they have to say about not their husbands sleeping out there and guarding against elephants and hippos. So I believe it has done good to the communities around protected areas.
That's nice to know. And I would like to know also from Julie at the National Forestry Authority, are the communities around the forest protected areas also happy in that sense?
Yes, the communities around the Central Forest Reserves are really happy because they have, some of them have secured jobs, others have secured livelihood programs, others have mended relationships. There are communities where we had issues where the relationships were not really good. Today you've arrested them in the forest, you've taken them to police, to court, but these are our allies now. So, and that relationship bit has really improved. And we are able, even when we are not around, we know we have communities that are trusted, that they can report to us on any illegality that is likely to affect the forest. But above that, the key achievement for Uganda, I think, will be the increase in forest cover. At the end of the project, we expect the forest cover to increase because of the many activities that we have done towards securing the integrity of the forest, the restoration, through enrichment planting. We believe that after 2 or 3 years, we'll have some of the forests that have been disturbed will be intact. But also this project did not only do activities in central forest reserves and protected areas. They will go ahead and do support communities to grow woodlots on their own land and those in refugee areas. That means it's going to reduce pressure on the natural forest that we are managing, because if you have, let me say, plantation of eucalyptus, if you need construction poles, you can cut from your own plantation. You don't need to invade the forest in the night to be able to cut 1 or 2 trees for construction. So this will lead to increase in forest cover. And because as a country, we have a target. We want to increase forest cover to 24%, like it was in 2019. And through such initiatives, we shall be able to increase this forest cover by 2030. So, and also the biodiversity in those forests has really improved. In some areas where we've just done protection, we will recover. And we are seeing already regeneration that is happening. So as government, we will not spend more money in protecting those forest reserves. We've been able to add on our manpower. There are some community members that have been brought on board as patrolmen and women, and these people are able to earn an income. And we believe this is going to strengthen our relationship more better with the communities and all other local authorities where we are operating from.
Well, there is really great optimism that is coming out of everything that I'm hearing this evening. And it's really nice to see that the project is going in a right direction. I just want to understand from Mr. Kazungu really that this project has got enormous benefits, and we already see the communities reaping out of this project, and we hope to see much more come out really. I think my question is, what strategies are there in place to ensure that local communities continue to benefit from the project in terms of climate smart development, even after its conclusion?
A great question indeed. When you look into the future of, post-project implementation, for example, to me that's a very nice question, and thank you very much, Nora, for looking into the future. Indeed, we have strengthened what we call social safeguards, for example, for this project. Any World Bank project, like many of the development partner funded projects, there is a need for the genuine, when I say genuine, I'm being very emphatic there, genuine engagement of stakeholders, including the communities, indigenous persons, and when you engage them genuinely, like we are doing with this investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development project, you see that even when the project has ended, some of these investments that we have started with them will be continued. When we raise an income and revenue for the tourism sector through the investments that are happening with the Uganda Wildlife Authority, we are able to reinvest this money back into the Uganda Wildlife Authority 5, 10, 15 years after the project has ended. So in terms of sustainability, because this is a sustainability question that you're asking me, a project of this nature with having taken care of social safeguards in the manner that we are doing it, where we make sure that the local communities, indigenous persons, the forest adjacent communities, and all the stakeholders are involved in the project, we are able to see people take on these interventions even after the project has ended. But also, you know very well that when we invest in woodlots establishment, for example, that we are going to have, or that we already have initiated and starting to develop in the refugee host communities, which are part of the beneficiary communities of this project. These woodlots, especially of the eucalyptus species, they co-piece over the years. So after this kind of investment, after the project has ended, these communities will continue. And there is a lot of capacity building embedded within this project. So many trainings all across the board, trainings of the communities in enrichment planting, of the implementing partners, trainings of the communities in agroforestry and all these kind of things. So we have an imagination, and we are very right because we have assumptions we've had for this project implementation and design, that with the capacity building that we are doing, which is very thick, very relevant based on the needs of the communities, there will be continuity. There will be sustainability of the investments and the initiative interventions that we've started with this huge monster $178.2 million project that we are talking about, the Investing in Forests and Areas for Climate Smart Development project. So all these aspects I've mentioned are relevant for sustainability and post-project implementation and engagement with the communities and the relevant stakeholders. We are bringing on board non-state actors to provide some services as technical service providers for this project. These non-state actors that you know of, very strong in community mobilization. And we are trying to take advantage of their strength to involve them in the implementation of key interventions within this project. And we believe that those non-state actors will actually have been strengthened in their capacity also to manage and mobilize resources for the same communities and beyond these communities. So there is a multi-faceted opportunity beyond and benefit for sustainability beyond this project implementation because of the nature of the manner in which we are intervening with this project through the different approaches of technical support provision, through community engagement, through ensuring that social safeguards and member safeguards are taken care of very well in a manner that is relevant for sustainability, through the capacity building programs that we have within this project that are many across the board. We're training communities adjacent to national parks in ecotourism-based enterprises, for example. There are aspects of energy cook stoves that we're training communities in, and we have artisans that are now in the communities that can build and construct cook stoves, and these will continue to construct them at a fee with the communities and neighboring communities. In fact, some of them are being borrowed from other parts of the country to go and construct improve cook stoves for other communities at a fee. So you can see how the benefits are trickling way beyond the project, even before the project ends. So when the project ends, we believe that there will be a lot of similar interventions in the adjacent communities, but also beyond the beneficiary communities where we're intervening as a project.
Oh, very nice. I'd like to know if UWA will also run with this even afterwards.
Yeah, we are learning from the best, and we are picking from the very successful IFPA models to other landscapes. For instance, we have so far started creating grievance redress mechanisms in other parks. This was an idea by IFPA, where you have IFPA projects, you have to have a grievance redress mechanism. So we have already cut and pasted it elsewhere in our landscapes. Community involvement, invasive species removal, landscape management, anti-poaching strategies. We are out there in other landscapes, non-IFPA projects, non-IFPA implementation areas, such as Kidepo, Mount Elgon, Lake Mburo, where IFPA is not. So we are already picking up the lessons and running with them.
I would like to hear about Julie with National Forest Authority.
Yeah, thank you. Like Van said, at National Forestry Authority, we have a continuity plan, and while implementing this project, we've been able to learn a lot. We've been able to interact with communities a lot. We've been able to engage and learn from them. They have also learned from us. And we also believe that the lessons we've learned while implementing this project will be taken across the country so that we can also manage the resources better that side. But away from that, we've also learned on good management, forest management practices through restoration extensively and protection and building resilient community relations that we shall be able to adopt and use in other areas. But also on the same issue of grievance redress mechanism, we've been able to set up toll-free lines that we shall not only use to handle the project-related grievances, but also handle all other forestry-related matters across the country. And this has been a testimony already. We are receiving calls from different parts of the country, and people need advice. People are reporting issues that are happening in their areas. Others are making inquiries. We've been able to learn from this project, and will be, after the project has been successfully implemented, we believe the impacts will be tracked, like even Bob said. In other areas, the people who have mastered some skills, because we've trained community members to do energy cooking stoves. They are making liquid soap. The others are trained in art and craft. So they have been able to even secure markets for their own products. And these groups are moving from one place to another to learn from the others. For example, the other day we had a group from Hoima, Bulisa, and the Masindi moving to go to Bushenyi and learn from those in Bushenyi the best income generating activities that they are doing. People have a lot of honey now that they are able to put out to the market and sell. We believe such initiatives will not go with the project. They will remain within our areas of operation and our communities, and these are long-lasting impacts for the community and the country at large.
Long-lasting impacts, really, and I see that so many benefits that has come with investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development. It's a very, very rich model, really. And I wonder from Mr. Kazungu, is there any plan or any chance to replicate this model in the parts of Uganda to support basically the broader climate smart development initiatives that may come up?
A great question indeed. Yes, indeed. The approach that we're using for the investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development project implementation is something we cannot fail to replicate in other parts of the country. At the moment, we have some projects that we are developing, and we are borrowing some lessons already learned over the few years we've implemented this project to enrich the development of the other projects. For example, we have some projects under the European Union Forest Partnership that we've been developing and with a component in eastern Uganda, which is not part of the investing in forest protected areas for climate smart development beneficiary area. And we've appreciated that we need to strengthen collaborative forest management groups there with that project. We've appreciated that we need to enhance our integrity of our forest through boundary opening of even the local forest reserves, which is not part of what we do under the IFPA CD project, but that is now going to happen with the EU Forest Partnership project. Development of what we call forest management plans, which has been part of this project, but now for other types of estates in the eastern part of the country, for example. So there's quite a lot that we've already trying to borrow from the lessons and the approach of implementation of IFPA CD project and embed it in other project designs in the other parts of the country. So, and that's how government works, because we know that the IFPA CD project might not be the silver bullet to all our problems in the country, although it makes a huge contribution because of its value. But we have then to replicate some of these with other support, with other lines of financing from, for example, the EU and also the GCF and the GEF projects that we are preparing. So there are a lot of lessons we are trying to pick from IFPA seed implementation to lead into the designs of other projects, but not forgetting that the IFPA seed project, we have aspirations for us to have another phase. Another phase when we do a successful implementation of this one. This phase will expand within the landscape where we are, because we didn't exhaust the entire landscape. We picked on only 7 national parks, for example, and there are other parks within the landscapes and other neighboring landscapes. We only picked out 27 central forest reserves in the country within those landscapes out of 506 central forest reserves. So there is already an opportunity for us to do another phase and add on the other estates that we want to do within the landscape we are, or even beyond this landscape. Because even when we go to the east, we have only a small part of the east that we have focused on with the other support from the EU, and even the north with GCF support, just a small part. So we have an opportunity to even expand the scope in another phase, or when we do complete successfully the implementation of this investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development project.
Investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development, it is a lot. It is deep. Something that we cannot just have in one session. There's a lot of richness to this. I just kind of want to understand, because our time is really fast spent before we can close off. If you had to identify one major lesson learned from the project so far, especially in regard to climate smart development, what would it be? Let's start with Venice.
One key lesson is that community engagement and benefit sharing are critical for conservation success. And without local support, the conservation efforts face resistance and challenges. So we bench so much on community support. Without those stakeholders, those people that we conserve for, then conservation is useless. And like we always asked for only one. But like Bob said, IFPA CD is not going to be a silver bullet for everything, but stakeholder support is the key to conservation development.
Juliet?
I think mine is also a supplement to what Vanis has said. With IFPA CD, it has been a participatory approach where you have government through the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Tourism, NFA, Uganda Wildlife Authority, you have the OPM, you have the refugees, you have the communities, you have the local leadership all on board discussing conservation and working together to see that this project succeeds. So through this project, we've learned that it's the participatory approach is one way to achieve, and this the success of the project is really accredited to the approach that government took to involve everybody. We have the CSOs, we have the opinion leaders, we have the minority groups like the Batwa, all on board to see that we promote conservation and peaceful.
Mr. Kazungu, I'll go back to you. Just give us the key takeaways for Uganda from implementing the IFPA-CD project in terms of climate resilience and sustainable development.
Thank you. To me, I strongly believe that we've learned that the benefits are huge in this project, but we need to communicate clearly on these benefits. So to me, the issue of communication, assessment of benefits, both at the different levels, impact level, output level, and the like, and communicating these benefits to the audience, to the right people, to government in time is a strong lesson. When I say in time, I mean there are so many things that we're doing with our partners of Wildlife Authority, the National Forest Authority, and many times we have it written in our papers, in our reporting frameworks and documents that we're doing. But one lesson I pick is that I think we need to share this out, and being here on this wonderful TV station, I think to me, it's a job to share some of the things that we've already had done in this project and what the benefits have already been accruing from the implementation of this project. Thank you.
And now, finally, as we close off, I just want to start off with Julie. And what to Ugandans there you want to share in regards to the importance of environmental conservation and just supporting a climate-smart future?
Thank you, Nora. My message to Ugandans is conservation or environment protection is not an option for us. It is a duty, and we have to do it for ourselves. We shouldn't think that it's a government responsibility. It is our responsibility as citizens. And where we have gone wrong, let's take responsibility and repent, because if we protect the environment, it will protect us. And if we destroy the environment, it will surely destroy us, like we've seen on many occasions. So this is the time. I encourage people that it's no longer, we shouldn't even be talking about climate change, but we should focus on climate action for now.
It is our duty, and if we protect the environment will definitely protect us. Do you agree with that, Venice?
I agree with her, and I must emphasize that conservation is a collective action. Conservation is not about just protecting wildlife. It is about sustainable, wise use of resources. It is about sustainable utilization for future generations. You imagine if our great-grandparents finished everything, what would happen? We need to live for the future generation. We need to preserve biodiversity. We need to use resources wisely. So let's come together as a collective action for a better country, for a better world, for a better earth.
For a better world,
Yes.
better earth. Mr. Bob Kazungu, you could actually close this off by telling us exactly a message to someone out there listening or watching.
What I can say is that we are all vulnerable to the effects of climate change, and any action that we do or that you do could either enhance your resilience or could do otherwise. And so the actions that we have within this Investing in Forests and Protected Areas for Climate Smart Development project, just one of those that can enhance the resilience of you and me, but the resilience of the ecosystem. So let's work together. Let's appreciate all the efforts that the government is doing and make sure that we support each other so that we're able to enhance our resilience and adaptive capacities as we battle this monster of adverse climate change effects. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a very rich discussion and very insightful, yet very informative. I believe one or two things someone has picked from this conversation, and I hope that we shall continue with such more very informative yet educative and insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Julie from National Forest Authority, Mr. Bob Kazungu from the government side, Ministry of Water and Environment, and Vanis Mirembe from Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Thank you too.
And it has been nice having you as we're discussing issues related to conservation. Investing in forests and protected areas for climate smart development is a project that is manned by the Ministry of Water and Environment. As you've had the panelists, it's upon you and I to indulge and conserve the environment. Collective effort. Climate action is now. It is for both you and I. I can't say more than that. My name is Nora Sende. Until next time, do have yourself a lovely evening.